Welcome to Turf Tips. Hi, I'm Rick Orr, and today's subject is Soil and Health Part 2. Soil and Health Part 1 was a quick survey of the benefits of a healthy soil and healthy lawns. Well, what about lawn spraying and health? Isn't lawn spraying just a bunch of chemicals on your lawn? Well, lawn spraying is not a bunch of chemicals. There are only 4 ingredients in the spray mix. 95% of the mix by design is water. This much water is critical for the mix to work. Less than 5%, 4.99% of the mix is fertilizer. The smallest portion, less than 0.01% of the mix is a pesticide, usually an insecticide, and also included is a spreader sticker, which helps to keep the fertilizer and insecticide in place. So it really isn't a bunch of chemicals, but a mix made up of a lot of water and a small amount of fertilizer and an even smaller amount of pesticide. And no, it isn't just water. The mix may be 95% water, but the impact on the turf is 100% fertilizer. It takes a lot of water to make that little bit of fertilizer work so well. Why? The water is a carrier for the fertilizer. The large volume of water helps to spread the small amount of fertilizer evenly over your entire lawn. The water also helps the fertilizer reach the target, which is the organic matter in the soil, without damaging tender plants or soil organisms. Also, the water is a good water, a pH balanced and neutral water with a little bit of spreader sticker to ensure the fertilizer and insecticide stay in place and have no impact on you, your pets, or the environment, and provide the maximum impact on the soil and your lawn. So, how safe are the fertilizers? Fertilizers are as safe as the environment you live in. Nitrogen is part of the air you breathe. You'll breathe in more nitrogen every day than I'll put on your lawn in a year. I don't use phosphorus because turf is not a big user of phosphorus. The potassium I use, potassium chloride, is used as a salt substitute for those who want to limit sodium intake, and iron is given to pregnant women. Sulfur is not only common in vitamins, but it's widely used as a natural fungicide by organic farmers. Nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, iron, and sulfur are the main fertilizers every grower needs to feed their crops, whether it's tomatoes or turf. Even the organic farmer relies on fertilizers to grow their crops. The difference is the source, not the substance. I use clean, hygienic, manufactured sources. The organic farmer uses smelly manures and compost. So what is the difference? None. To the living, composting soil, a drop of nitrogen, whether from manure or the mill, is a drop of nitrogen. So the fertilizer is harmless. There's nothing to fear from the fertilizer. But the effect of the fertilizer on your lawn is astonishing. How? It only takes small amounts of fertilizer to power the living soil, turning the soil into a compost factory, working 24/7 to feed your turf. That small amount of fertilizer and 30 gallons of water is nothing to you, but everything to a community of bugs, worms, fungi, and single-cell life that's working to compost the dust, the pollen, the pollution, and the debris trapped in the turf canopy into food for the lawn and returning cleaner water and purified air. But insecticides, now we're talking the serious stuff, right? Well, yes and no. Insecticides should always be regarded with a sense of seriousness, but we've come a long way since the skull and crossbones of early pesticides. Today, the insecticides I use are manufactured copies of naturally occurring insecticides, pyrethrins, which came from marigolds, and nicotine, which came from tobacco. These synthetics have all the good characteristics of natural compounds. They're natural, effective, and harmless to humans, and none of the bad characteristics, high costs, and impurities. To see how safe an insecticide is, you need to consider 3 things: concentration, toxicity, and half-life. The concentrations I use are low, parts per million. Insects are extremely sensitive to very small amounts of pyrethroids and nicotoids, but even in high concentration, these same synthetics are harmless to humans and animals. Why? The insecticide targets a process found only in insects. Otherwise, if you've ever sniffed a marigold or inhaled tobacco smoke, you'd drop dead. Suicide attempts using pyrethroids and nicotoids have resulted in heartburn and diarrhea, but no deaths. Toxicity to humans and animals is just not typical of the modern insecticide used in lawn spraying. The half-life is a way to describe how long an insecticide remains in the environment. Pyrethroids last only hours in the sunlight, and nicotoids can last up to months. Compared to DDT, which has a half-life of 500 years, these insecticides have the advantage of not only being natural, effective in very low dosages, but are harmless to our environment. So, is lawn spraying just spraying a bunch of chemicals? Absolutely not. But to some, it will always be just that. They're the chemophobics. Those who irrationally fear lawn spraying. They'll never change their minds. But for the level-headed homeowner who wants to surround their house with a beautiful lawn, you can know there's nothing to fear from lawn spraying. The small amounts of fertilizer and insecticides do amazing works, all the while working closely with nature to improve the soil health so it may recycle the dust, the pollen, the pollution, and filter our water and purify the air you breathe. Lawn spraying promotes healthy soil, and healthy soils improve our environment, which is good for us all. God bless.